A new study has found that parents now consider taking their kids out of school for term time holidays as entirely socially acceptable. Public First says that school closures as a result of the pandemic and teachers' strikes have shifted how parents view daily school attendance. Many are now saying that they're not put off by government fines for taking their kids out of school. What do you think about all of this? I've got a little poll running on my Twitter at the moment, at Patrick Christie. So far, 74% of you think, yes, it's OK to take your kid out of school. Let's speak now to Editor-in-Chief of the Good Schools Guide, Lord Rafe Lucas, about this. Thank you very much. Great to have you on the show. The bit of that study that I don't think they mentioned was that I think a lot of parents are very annoyed about their kids being taught hyper-sexualised stuff, and actually, they'd rather just take them for a week away in Tenerife.
Well, I quite agree with you about some of what's being taught in some schools. Unplanned high levels of children not attending is really not helpful to schools. It increases the difficulty of teaching. It makes it harder for the schools to make progress with children if they're in and out and they don't know who's going to be there and they don't know who's learnt what and the previous week. But it's clear to me that parents are changing their views of what the relationship with school should be. And the fundamental in British education is that parents are in charge of education. Maybe we need to rethink this. Maybe this is something we need to have a really serious conversation about. What is the relationship between parents and children?
Let's have that conversation. Let's have that conversation. I think, the pandemic has got a lot to answer for this. I refuse to believe that there should be now a huge priority on the value of children's education when it comes to whether or not, Tiffany and Hugo can take their kid to the Bahamas for a week during term time. Where was that conversation during the pandemic whilst we shackled children into their own bedrooms? I think that's got an issue. But do you just think more and more parents care less about school? They think there's less value to it, maybe because teachers are on strike more?
Well, there was some of that coming through in the study, wasn't there? And I mean, it's a conversational study. It's not something that's reliable as to figures.
Yeah.
But I think it really is pointing a direction that we need to pay attention to. How are we going to accommodate this change in the way that parents are viewing their relationship with school in such a way that their children still get the best possible education?
I mean, look, I don't want to pry too much into your personal life, so, you don't have to. Just anecdotally, I mean, did you have kids? Did you take them out of school during term time?
No.
No.
Well behaved on that. I think turning up when you're supposed to in school is something that really helps your children's education and really helps the school run. But there are other ways of doing it. There are some very good schools where children go 2 or 3 days a week and they're educated by their parents the other 2 or 3 days. So it's possible to have other forms of this and other ways of doing it. And if a school organised itself saying, right, any time in this 2 or 3 weeks, take your week's holiday, and for the other couple of weeks, we will be doing revision, we'll be doing reading things, we'll be doing this or that, which doesn't require timetabling.
Do you think do you think it might be a little bit rich for teachers to complain too much about the impact on children's education when they are content to go out on strike as much as they are?
Well, quite. That's just been a demonstration of the fact that they think them being absent is fine, and they get kicked off when the children are absent.
That's worrying, isn't it? It's worrying that they think, oh, look, it'll be all right, don't worry. The kids can afford to miss out on me teaching them geography for 2 weeks, but if they decide that they want to go to Sardinia, then we can't possibly have that. Look, thank you very much. It's great to have you on the show, Lord Rafe Lucas, who's the Editor-in-Chief of the Good Schools Guide. I think it's changing. It's shifting. I think we're going to see a massive increase in homeschooling. We quite possibly already are, actually, and I think we are going to see now more parents deciding, look, I know what's best for my kid. More power to it, I say. I think you should have the ultimate say over how your child is educated. Why should the state have all of that control? Other people will say, hey, it's about rules, regulations and teaching them order in life. Otherwise, it's just chaos. And I can see that side of it as well. But for those of you working with young people, this ties in. Do you think that they're equipped to work alongside people with different opinions? Because the Channel 4 boss doesn't think so. Speaking at the Royal Television Society's Cambridge convention, Alex Mahan says that Gen Z youngsters, I think this is anyone born after the year 2000, by the way, haven't got the skills to discuss or disagree. She called it a dangerous step to change. But there we go. What's she blaming it on? She's blaming it on the pandemic. I'm blaming it on an absolute load of snowflakes, the likes of which you quite often see hovering around Channel 4, actually, cancelling people if they don't have the views that they agree with. People are now told, aren't they, that they can't possibly disagree at all. You've always got to have some kind of groupthink. Is it a shock to anyone that we are raising a generation of complete and utter softies?